I'm absolutely delighted to be here in Lincolnshire Police's force headquarters with Assistant Chief Constable Chris Davison. Chris, again, thank you so much for welcoming Policing TV.
Pleasure.
Here. We're stood in the force reception area, and there is a picture of a policewoman from approximately the 1910s in the background behind you.
Yeah.
Explain, please, if you will, who this lady is.
So that's Edith Smith. She was the first warranted police officer who was a female in the country. So that was a mere 110 years ago. So 1914 to 1918, she served with Grantham Borough Police, which is now in the jurisdiction of Lincolnshire.
Let's just go into Edith Smith here. Quite some imposing character in the police uniform, and so she will have been the first. I don't know whether that's a male uniform that she's worn. I hope that it was a uniform that was tailored specifically for her. Now, the representation of female officers is much higher now, and we'll come on to that in a moment or two. Mm-hmm. But you were telling me something just before we started filming that suggests a personal connection here.
Yeah, so Edith Smith operated, as I say, in Grantham Borough Police between 1914 and 1918. My own great-grandfather was a police officer in Grantham Borough. He joined in 1918, so I think they had maybe a couple of months where they worked alongside each other, which is incredible. So, yeah, my great-granddad, a police officer in Lincolnshire between 1918 and 1945.
Well, a wonderful connection there to Edith Smith. Did your grandfather, being a police officer, influence your decision to become a police officer yourself?
No, he didn't actually. I didn't know he was a police officer. He'd died long before I was born. It was only subsequently kind of finding out he was a rather fiery, red-haired Scottish gentleman. Some might say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But no, I joined the police for entirely separate reasons.
Which were?
So, a slightly odd story. When I was a child, 8 or 9-ish, I think, I was in my living room in Grantham watching, I think it was Yes Minister on the TV with the family. And then there was a massive explosion. Somebody who lived in the area had stolen a load of railway detonators, strapped them to the front window and detonated them. Which was
the front window of which house?
My house.
Your house?
In Grantham, yeah. So I'm not great with sudden loud bangs, subsequently. But the first person I saw once the smoke had cleared and some of the debris had cleared was a police officer in a possibly large hat with an impossibly bushy moustache. And he was completely calm in what I thought then to be chaos, and it made a lasting impression on me. I thought this person was the closest you could get to a real-life superhero. I thought to myself then that was the career I wanted to go into, and here I am, many years later.
Well, it begs the question, why on earth would somebody strap railway detonators to the front of your house? I don't know whether you know or whether that's really almost immaterial. The account is fascinating in itself. But go on, I've got to ask, do you know why?
I'm led to believe he didn't like my dad, but there we go. I'm not sure that excuses it any, but there we are.
It seems a very peculiar way to go about showing your dad he didn't like him. Anyway, so you subsequently joined the police and in Lincolnshire. So you
Yes.
are a Lincolnshire police officer from police constable through currently to assistant chief constable.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, once I was a volunteer police cadet here from 16 to 19. Then I went away to university, I did some studies there, and when it came time to look at employment, I always knew I wanted to be a police officer, and actually Links Police had really invested in me as a teenager as a police cadet and kept me on the straight and narrow, and so I came back to Lincolnshire to be a police officer, and I'm still here.
Well, now I am skating on to potentially thin ice in my next comment and question, because you have what, forgive me for this, please, but what I might describe as some fairly niche interests, musically and sporting. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I think so. Lincolnshire is a force that is a broad church. We welcome pretty much everybody, as long as they've got integrity and they want to do the right thing.
And the breadth of that representation from amongst the community actually is key to policing.
Massively. And we pride ourselves in people bringing themselves to work. Now, I am fortunate that I don't bring the whole self to work. So I'm a massive, huge fan of extreme heavy metal. For as long as I can remember.
Give us some example of some of the bands then that are particularly dear to you.
Yeah, people may have heard of. I would guess things like Napalm Death and Carcass and Bolt Thrower and that order of magnitude. I wouldn't recommend people of a nervous disposition to try it on their Spotify. They probably won't like it.
But if you were to put on your CV in your application that you were a fan of heavy metal groups or indeed any other perfectly legal but otherwise distinctive interest, that's not going to stand against you.
No, absolutely not. Actually, apart from the image, you will find that heavy metal fans are the most polite, the kindest, the sweetest people. They just look terrifying.
And the other interest we haven't yet described, the interest in sport, indeed specifically in football. Yeah,
so I'm a fervent fan of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Which is ideally situated for home games if you live about 120 miles to the east.
And for those that are not familiar with Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I have to ask why not, but firmly anchored right in the middle of the Premiership table at the moment, I think position 12 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
So with a key game, as we record this, with a key game against Manchester City this coming weekend, so Wolves can do probably Arsenal the biggest favour by winning that particular game. Unlikely, I suspect, but there we go. One other area that I wanted to bring in, on your write-up for the Force website, you also describe yourself as being a ludologist.
I do, yes.
What is that?
A ludologist is somebody who studies and appreciates games of all types. So I love all kind of board games, card games, much to the dismay of Mrs. Davis and I have a arcade machine in the dining room. I collect old gaming systems and the like. So, yeah, games, I absolutely love games of all types.
Well, look, let's move over just to the adjacent wall here in the reception area. And I'm going to pan the camera down for a second to the recruitment poster just here. So it says we are open for recruitment. So Lincolnshire Police, open for recruitment. We've already established that whatever your musical taste, your sporting taste, your interest in games or otherwise, absolutely. Lincolnshire Police would be interested in hearing from you. You described the key characteristics of a police officer. Just repeat those for us.
Yeah, so for me, the key things are integrity, always wanting to do the right thing, looking after others as your kind of primary motivation, and being brave. If you've got those characteristics, we really do appreciate people bringing their whole self to work. So, we're a small force, a family force, a really friendly force, but we would love you to come and see what life is like in Lincolnshire and come and work here.
There are such a diverse set of activities and interest sections within policing. This is the first of our 3 videos here in Force Headquarters. We're going down to the firearms range. Of course, officers needed who are willing and able, proficient in carrying firearms. We're also going to be filming with those operating drones, very important area for a county like Lincolnshire. So those particular characteristics key in recruitment, lots of areas that you, if you apply and are successful, could end up working in. You'd recommend, I'm sure you will, policing as a career then?
Absolutely. I can't think of a better profession, better occupation where you are able to make a daily difference to the lives of others.
Assistant Chief Constable Chris Davison, thank you so much.
Thank you.